Hey, Birkett here, along with Carlos Monarrez, coming in from off camera. Another Lions loss. They fall to 0-8 on the season, 44-6. Carlos, as Carlos moves a couple of chairs out of the way. Against the Philadelphia Eagles here at Ford Field. It's Halloween, and I guess I feel a little bit tricked by the Lions, Carlos.
No treats today, Dave.
No, not for the Lions at least. I sort of tweeted this out during the game, end of the game, that I think we have to stop with the narrative now that this is a Lions team that plays hard all the time, and this is the second time in 3 weeks that they've frankly just got their butts kicked. And I know Dan Campbell said it's on him. He was outcoached. I think I agree with that completely, but it's not all on him. They're not a good team, and they didn't play hard today. They didn't play with the effort that we've come to expect out of this team.
You know, you're right, and Michael Bronker said after the game that it can't come from the coaches. It's got to come from the players if they're going to do something. And I think that, what we saw with the Rams, I think we were all encouraged by what happened with the Rams. But the more I thought about it, a lot of that was game plan, right? A lot of that was the coaching staff making up for some deficiencies and trick plays and all that stuff. So smoke and mirrors for a while. They have to take a hard look at themselves in this bye week, and the players have to get together and decide, what do we want this to be? And I don't think it's necessarily about winning games, although I think the Free Press thought that we all predicted that we're going to beat the Eagles because the Eagles are not a good team.
I regretted it as soon as I picked it because everybody else was picking it.
I regretted it the minute you picked it too, Dave. You were wrong. You led us astray with all your predictions and everything.
I know. Take the blame.
It's your fault. So, but they have to, look for a way to be more competitive. The winning, great, whatever, but just be more competitive. Be in games. They were never in this game. 44-6, just blown out, embarrassment.
No, you're right, and the problem is to be in games. Even against a bad team like this, it's going to come down to a lot of that smoke and mirrors and coaching because they're so short-handed. Look, I've been very critical of Jared Goff this season, and I think he deserves a lot of blame for the offensive struggles. But if we're being honest, he has no one to throw to, right? And his offensive line is without his two best players, and so I know the Lions aren't the only team that has these sort of problems, right? There are plenty of injuries going around the league, but I don't know. They feel overmatched. They felt overmatched in every area today, and as Dan said, that was from coaching on down. Look, bye week I think comes at a good time because they need to, like you said, sort of self-examine and look in the mirror and see what they can do this second half of the season. But there aren't many possibilities of wins left on that schedule.
Well, I think the next. I said before this game, I thought this game plus the next 5, they have an opportunity to win these games because even though they're going to Cleveland and Pittsburgh, I know. I'm just saying they have more opportunities. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Bears, Vikings, Broncos. Would anybody be shocked if the Lions beat one of these teams? It wouldn't be the world's biggest. Come on.
No,
I'm not beating the Rams or the Buccaneers or the Cardinals.
Well, if Cleveland is healthy, right? Baker's not going to be healthy, but Nick Chubb, if those guys are healthy, I don't think they have much of a shot. These guys ran for 230 yards today. If Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and everybody are healthy and out there,
they're healthy.
Yeah. But no, you're right. Look, they don't play the same caliber of team, I think, the rest of the way, outside of the Packers, Week 17, that they have played in the Cardinals, I guess, that they have played so far this year. So there are some possibilities. It just seems so hopeless right now for the Lions.
It does, and we have to look at the season. I know that, there's always going to be a recency bias, right? 2 of the last 3 weeks they've got handled. It hasn't looked good. But they have something within them, I think. And if they get Taylor Decker back, if that happens, they were without Jamal Williams. I think not enough was said about that they needed that spark. They needed some juice. Jamal Williams is a big leader on that team. He gets the team going. If everybody's watched him, the way whenever he makes the first down, looks like he won the Super Bowl. So that helps. That little stuff adds up, I think, either leadership or providing extra, juice during the game. So I think if you get him back, if you get a little bit healthier, I don't know about Goff. I think he does have a ceiling here. He admitted throwing away the ball on 4th down was a physical mistake, so is that an improvement, physical over mental? I hope so. But yeah, you're unhappy because he's not helping your fantasy stats because he's only throwing for 2.2 yards.
Definitely don't have
air yards.
Goff or any Lions on my fantasy team.
You should have Hawkinson actually, or Swift actually, right? He gets a lot of touches, but yeah, this is not a team that I think is without hope. It hasn't looked good, but this is really. I didn't think we'd see another game like we saw against the Bengals, and this unfortunately was probably even worse than the Bengals. but it can't happen again. You need to be in games, and like you said, maybe the coaching staff doesn't need to make up that difference. And they didn't do anything inventive today with the play calling. That's the one thing that was a little bit disappointing.
Offense has struggled all year. I do think there's a lack of energy, lack of effort from where I sit up in the press box. It sure seemed like that today.
I don't think you think effort. I didn't think effort.
I mean,
if you're just not good, you're not good.
Yeah, but when you're getting your butt kicked, like they got their butt kicked today, it just, at some points it seems like, I don't know, to me, and again, this is from afar, right? It seems from a couple hundred yards up here in the press box or whatever, like when the losses start piling up and things start going against them, and as Dan Campbell himself said, right, when the offense is struggling to move the ball, like that has a trickle-down effect, right? That impacts the rest of the team, and so I do think that, when you're just around suck, right? When you're around bad, like it creeps into you, even if you're not bad yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to overcome that, on a field when you think you're doing the right thing and you look next to you and that guy's getting pushed downfield, or that guy's giving up a block and allowing somebody to get hit. And it just, when that happens over and over and over again for 3 quarters, because the Lions didn't do anything the first 3 quarters for the second time in 3 weeks, it's a tough thing to do.
I think that when you see, to me, when you say that there's a lack of effort, that's a strong indictment, because that means you're not trying, and I think we saw that with Jamie Collins in Green Bay. That it looked like he was giving up in that game. Like he was not going with max effort. Jared Goff, as bad as he played, he got sacked, he had a fumble, and he went and dove over and recovered it. As 300 guys are falling. Tracy Walker was playing hard at the end of the game. I mean, they were getting handled, but it's just like, they just don't have the talent. Really,
that's the biggest thing, is they don't have the talent.
Yeah, but I think that's what's encouraging, is that at least if you have the effort and the will, as long as you can get on the same page of saying, listen guys, we've got to find a way to take a little bit more ownership of this and make this happen. We can't let the coaches tell us what to do. If that can happen, if there's enough leadership, push that way. And that's the one thing. I think there's always hope. There can be hope if there's effort, right? You're a coach, right?
I just love how hopeful you are these days, and that never used to be the case. It's just, God, man,
I've always been happy and hopeful. How
the past 3 years, whatever. It's whatever. That's all right. That's sweet. No,
you're gonna blame Matt Patricia? You're gonna blame Matt Patricia?
I'm just saying. Even this is not anything about Matt Patricia. This is about the Dan Campbell team, and you find hope in even the bleakest situations now, and it's a new Carlos for you. All right, so let's sort of finish it on this, right? Tracy Walker, unprompted, said, hey, if we don't fix this, we're going to go 0-17, right? And really the first player to, we all know that that's sort of there, right?
All the beat writers clutched their pearls after he said that too.
Yeah, it's one of those, right? When a player sort of acknowledges it without you having to bring it up, well, it's in the back of their head somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, what are the chances they go 0-17? I wrote, look, Larry Lage from the Associated Press, he gives me grief about this because whatever it was, week 3 or 4, I was like, week 3, I think I said, there's not a bone in my body that thinks they're going to go 0-17. And well, now there's, probably got 206 bones? There's probably, 100 bones in my body that are kind of worried about that possibility. So, what do you, put a percentage on it. What do you think the chances are the Lions go 0-17?
I'm not even going to get into injuries and all this other stuff, but right now, as the cards are where they are, I would say, there's like a 30% chance that they go 0-17. And Drew Sharp, the great late Drew Sharp used to say when they did go 0-16, it's harder to go 16-0 than 0-16. He was proved wrong. But it's just something's going to break their way. I think this is what I'm saying, man, the next 5 games are their opportunity. They've got to win one in those 5 games to get. What do you think? What
I think that's fair. Look, again, recency bias certainly plays into it, and I think a lot of people come away from this game and a performance against a lowly Eagles team and say, Jesus, how is this team ever going to win? But yeah, you're right. The Steelers are not a very good team. They're better at home. They've got a good running game. They've got a pretty good defense, but they don't put up a lot of points. Of course, we said that, about Philadelphia too. So maybe that's a low-scoring enough game where the Lions can hang the Bears on Thanksgiving. I think going to Atlanta, even though that's a road game the day after Christmas. There are some possibilities for wins, but I don't know. This team is. I've covered a lot of losing teams in my time, and this team is bad. They're just not a very good team right now, and that's they do. You're right. Look, Hockenson is a good player. Swift has done some really good things this year. Like, I don't think Jared Goff is an 0-17 type quarterback, but he's the leader of this offense right now, and these parts are not working, and offensively they have so little on offense. Even though I just mentioned 3 guys, like they just can't stretch the field, and it's easy for defenses to defend that. And I agree with Dan that I think, not that the defense is great, but I think the defense sees that inability, and it weighs on them a little bit too.
I think also everybody knows that the offense has to carry the day here. They have to win the time of possession to keep. I mean, the defense is really the problem, but that's complementary football. You've got to help the defense by holding onto the ball, sustaining drives, scoring points when you can. And they were getting gashed. They were getting gashed right up the middle by their second string running back after Rieger went
second,
down.
Third, yeah.
And Jalen Hurts obviously.
Rieger, but really, Miles Sanders, their number 1 running back, didn't play. He was out. So
number 3.
We're talking about their second, third, 4th string really, because Kenneth Gainwell had played a lot, even though not in a rushing role. He was sort of the receiving back, before today.
And that's the thing. They got pushed around on the line, but it wasn't like they were, not pursuing. I mean, Alex Anzalone is a really good example of a guy who tries hard, and he does make his plays when he can. But when you're just getting pushed around, and you can't stop, you can't contain the quarterback when it's a broken play and he still runs for 40 yards. I mean, that's just, what are you going to do? Charles Harris isn't going to be able to stop Jalen Hurts on a dime when he gets outside of containment. So it's just they're outmanned on defense, but the offense does need to make up for it. And this is one thing, Brad Holmes, if you're watching, this is why I said you need to get receivers, you need to draft receivers, and everybody's like, I'm gonna say Brown, 4th round, that's good enough. I mean, Trinity Benson, I guess he was finally active, but all these guys, it's a really thin. You said, who does he throw to? He has nobody to throw to. Are you going to get somebody? What happens at the trade deadline, Dave? Let's spin it forward. One last thing.
Trade deadline, I go on vacation, so I'm leaving that to you to cover. I'm on Ross St.
I'm on vacation too. Wait,
you're shooting a podcast Tuesday. That's not vacation.
That's
Tuesday.
That's just
follow him for
pro bono work for Sean Windsor because he's bored.
No, I don't know. I mean, look, if I'm the Lions, I'm willing to deal anyone for draft picks.
But you're not acquiring anybody. You're not acquiring any little bit of help for receiver.
They need it, but it depends who you're going to. You're not just getting a guy to play the final 7 games. Like, you need a guy that's available, that will be available for you for the next 2 years. If you're giving up a draft pick, because the most valuable thing the Lions can have right now is draft capital, right? I mean, they're going to have to. They need a quarterback. They need a receiver. They need so much, right, to give up any sort of, even a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick, whatever. They have some compensatory picks.
To avoid 0-17. A little bit of receiver help. The little bit of receiver help that should have already been here. To give up a 5th round pick to avoid 0-17.
Go sign Golden Tate. Go sign Deshaun Jackson.
Okay.
Gets cut. I mean, you can do something like that, right? Throw some money at him. You got money. Like, if you want that, I wouldn't give up the draft capital. I'd rather spend the money and get a vet. But will the Lions do it? I certainly think they could add a receiver, because that's where they need a ton of help. But I just don't know that anyone is going to be out there worthy of adding. And conversely, on the defensive line, where they have a little bit of depth, if there's a possibility to get a day 3 draft pick for one of those depth guys that's not going to be back next year, shoot, if I'm the Lions, I take it. So I take my chances at 0-17.
I don't really care about 0-17, but I know these players do. The team does. The coaches,
I think a lot of people do.
That.
Look, for the sake of Dan Campbell and everyone, you can't go 0-17. Like, what sort of belief does that engender in anyone in the NFL? Your players here, free agents, whoever it is. If you go 0-17, it just just like, look.
You're getting excited.
No, I said this about Matt Patricia, right? When Matt Patricia came in 3 months into his tenure, he had the whole South Padre thing. Like, he was never going to recover from that. There was not a chance that he was going to recover from that. And then the way he treated players, like, it all just snowballed from there. Like, they should have just cut ties right then. Like, you have to realize what's going on. Like, that was not going to work. If you go 0-17, like, I think Dan's doing a good job with the hand that he's dealt.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has the ship pointed in the right direction. But that's a really tough thing to overcome. If you are a coaching staff that goes 0-17, like, that's a black mark that's on your resume. And everyone that wants to come play in Detroit or has that possibility, that's always going to be in the back of their head. Well, you just went, like, I don't know what sort of belief that that puts in anyone. And so they need some wins. I mean, just to be real honest, they need to get some wins this year.
I don't know if 2-15 is going to look that much better or feel that much better.
But it's not 0-17. Like,
yeah. But you know whatever. I don't care.
It's not much better, but it's way different. Let's put it like that.
I'll make you a prediction. Their higher priced free agents to sign this, whoever it might be next offseason, they're going to say no matter whatever the record is, 2-15, or this team is not a 2-15. It's not as bad as 0-17, whatever it is. So you're 2-15.
It's all about the money. I mean, we know that, but regardless, it's just you don't have
it's
that
a bad
belief.
look.
Yes,
it's a bad look.
You can't
for sure. And I think that's worth a 5th round pick if you can get a receiver like on an expiring contract with Deshaun Jackson or whoever. And I feel bad because there is times where the protection's holding up, but Hawkinson's covered, and so who are you going to throw to? Khalif Raymond's out on the outside, can't throw to him. It's a 50-50 ball. What are you going to do? So it's not really fair. And when we said this about Jared Goff at the beginning, it's going to be hard to judge him this season because he doesn't have enough playmakers, to bail him out.
Yeah, I don't know. I've passed my judgment there. I've passed my judgment on this team. They're
On
not
me?
a very good team right now. I passed my judgment on you a long time ago. Even though you flip flop now and you're kind of positive and stuff, and it weirds me out.
I'm going to be negative now.
All right, we'll leave it there. We got a bye week to tend to, but as always, it's good talking with you, Carlos, and trying to understand and break down exactly what's going on.
Last question.
Detroit Lions, yes.
Favorite Halloween candy?
Three Musketeers. I'm with Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers. Okay,
That's
that's a
like
solid
any of
choice.
that chocolate, really. Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Reese's.
Okay.
Almond Joy. I'll eat anything, but Three Musketeers. If they were all laid out on a table, maybe some M&Ms. I'd grab one of those two first. You?
I'm going for Mounds.
Mounds.
Yeah. Little coconut.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. That'll do it for us. For Carlos Monarrez, I'm Dave Birkett. Fruit.com.